And this is a really important step because when you find out where the time is being wasted and you can eliminate that, that frees up the time that you need. See here that there's a 1, 2, 3, and 4. You're going to want to focus on things that are probably a 1, as obviously as the number 1 thing that you focus on. And I'm paraphrasing this a little bit, but essentially, what is the one thing that you can do today that will make everything else irrelevant or not matter? Hey guys, Austin here, and today we are reading The Effective Executive by Dr. Peter Drucker. So what is an effective executive? An effective executive is somebody who consistently achieves the right results by following a certain set of rules and principles. And the best part is that an effective executive does not just pertain to business. It actually applies to us as individuals as well. Because if you think about it, we're actually the executives of our own individual lives. And in the book, Dr. Peter Drucker tells us that there are 5 principles that an effective executive lives by. And the first one is that an effective executive knows exactly where their time goes. So what they do is that they systematically organize and track what they're doing with their time. That way they can kind of find where they're wasting their time and ways that they can tweak and optimize it in order to be more effective. And this is a really important step because when you find out where the time is being wasted and you can eliminate that, that frees up the time that you need to be able to do things that are important, things that actually move the needle. And he says in the book that to know where your time goes, you have to find out where it actually goes. The next principle is that effective executives focus on outward contribution. And really all that means is that they focus all their time and energy onto the things that matter the most. They ask, what can I contribute? Or what results are expected of me? And they do this instead of saying things like, what do I need to do? Or what needs to get done? And essentially what they're doing there is they are just thinking about the big picture and what the main goal is at hand. And they focus on doing the things that are going to actually get the results instead of just doing the things that are just typical busy work. So I'm not sure if you remember this book, but this is Focal Point by Brian Tracy. And on page 35 of this book, there's a figure. I'll put it up on the screen. It is figure 2-1 and it's urgent versus important. And this is a great way to determine what types of things are going to be worth your time and what you should be focusing on, because you'll see here that there's a 1, 2, 3, and 4. You're going to want to focus on things that are probably a 1, as obviously as the number 1 thing that you focus on. And if you have any additional time, possibly the things that line up in number 3. But the things in number 2 and in number 4, you want to never do those things. So the next key takeaway and principle is that effective executives focus on their strengths. And not only do they leverage their own personal strengths, but also the strengths of people that are around them, their team members, their friends, their family. I like to think about it like a football coach. Does the coach try to put players into a position that they're bad at? Absolutely not. They want to put them in positions where they will thrive. And if you have the right players playing the right positions, the whole team thrives and everyone will succeed, including the coach. And so effective executives build on their strengths and the strengths of others around them. And he says in the book that effective executives build on strengths, their own strengths, the strengths of their superiors, colleagues, and subordinates, and on the strengths in that situation. That is on what they do. They do not build on weakness. They do not start out with the things they cannot do. Okay, so the next principle is that effective executives concentrate on the few major areas where superior performance will produce outstanding results. They set priorities and then they stick to them. And they really focus all of their time and energy onto the tasks that are the most impactful. And by concentrating on just a few key areas, they really do increase their effectiveness. And this really is congruent with this book right here, which is The One Thing by Gary Keller. In this book, Gary tells us that we need to ask ourselves a very important question. And I'm paraphrasing this a little bit, but essentially, what is the one thing that you can do today that will make everything else irrelevant or not matter? And in The Effective Executive, he says they know that they have no choice but to do first things first and second things not at all. And then he goes on to say that the alternative is to get nothing done at all. And the next key takeaway is that effective executives make effective decisions. And basically when they're making their decisions, they do them from a sense of arguing from first principles. And really arguing from first principles is where you boil and distill things down to their most basic form. So instead of coming into making a decision with a preconceived notion, instead what you would do is you would come in, you would take a step back, and you would think about what all the facts are. You would research and get any other information that you might need. You may even consult with a few outside sources or potentially inside sources. and from there you would make your decision. And making solid decisions quickly is going to be an extremely important part of the equation here. And one of the reasons is because making solid decisions is necessary for long-term success. So basically they make great decisions consistently. So as you're going on with the day and you're being the executive of your life, remember this: try to know where your time goes, try to focus on outward contribution, aka the things that move the needle, build upon your strengths and the strengths of others, concentrate on just a few areas that are going to drive the most performance, and then lastly, make effective decisions. Guys, thanks so much for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.